just a crushing defeat. Tale of two halves, and I've not done a good enough job building, the level of toughness and discipline that's needed to have a chance to win, like really win, and that falls squarely on my shoulders, because I'm the one that chose these guys, and I'm the one that's tasked with cultivating the type of culture and toughness and really DNA that's needed to win. Credit to Georgetown, they kept fighting, made big time plays down the stretch, and we didn't. A really tough spot for our guys, and we have a quick turnaround. Got to play the best team in the country on Tuesday in their building.
Kim, what did you see in the last 10 minutes more offensively? Obviously, they made a lot of shots, but offensively, you guys, ball movement or just didn't get out in the break?
Yeah, it was a couple possessions where we were flippant. It was a Jalen Sellers one-hand pass to Osmond where he wasn't ready. It was a Mila in transition. We got loose. In the game, I felt like we were pretty solid. One turnover at halftime. We got loose and then got tight at the end. We got loose and we got tight. Jalen had some point-blank ones at the rim. He missed. And again, it's that game pressure is sometimes married when it's going in for them and not for us. It feels more daunting than it is.
Do you think the moment got to them?
Yeah, K-Mac, I think it's a culmination of a lot of moments. A lot of these games, different games where I think there's some fragility in the group with knowing, how to do it. Again, it was there in the first half. Again, our defense is in front of our bench in the first half. The second half, you're on your own. The 5 guys out there are on their own, and we got to, 67% in the second half field goal defense. So up 21, up 18 at half. You gotta find a way.
Kim, a couple times, I think you got up to 21. They get to 14. You push it to 20. Did you kind of see some cracks at that point a little bit?
I saw cracks the whole game. TNT sideline reporter talked to me at halftime. I didn't feel good about the looks that Malik Mack had in the first half. Their shooters got up threes. Vincent Iwuchukwu threes, okay, because I think his first 2 of the season, stuff like that. That'll happen in the game, but the guys can't get them. And our collective buy-in, has to be better for us to have a chance.
Coach, Jameer Jones not present for what seemed to be crunch time in this game, whereas Von Box played 34 minutes on 3 of 14 and 0 of 7 from 3. Talk about the substitution management in that back 6 minutes of the game, kind of where that decision came from based off what the game plan was.
Yeah. Those guys are freshmen. Jameer especially is a freshman and obviously uber talented, but and we need him. And he gets to play through a lot of mistakes. Jeremiah Williams is a driver. He's a right driver. And he had a right drive and one layup on Mir. We had a play called. Jameer went in 1-on-3 and got the ball knocked out. And then dove and took himself out of the play. We sat him at the end of the Creighton game because, we get to see him every day. We know the freshman lapses that happen. And again, they happen to everybody when they're freshmen. So you try to avoid them when you can. We thought we did.
Kind of just as a second point to that, you did note that, freshmen make mistakes, they have their moments. Why does Why is Vox's leash in a situation like this essentially longer than Jones's with that? I understand the right to layup thing, but it seems if they're both freshmen, then they might have the same.
Yeah, it's not longer. You know, it's a body of work. It's things we see every day. You know, in practice. Yeah.
Kim, do you wish you had a timeout there at the end?
No, we had the play called. We were up 3. We iced KJ Lewis. He missed a free throw. We had the play we wanted to run. You know, you're praying for a miss in that instance. We got the miss, and we did not do what we wanted to do on the last play. And again, that's on me. You know, the ability to take it from the board to the court has been a consistent thing this season. And again, you know, that's, you know, sometimes a byproduct of the way we play. You know, we're principles over plays, pace, space, you know, but it comes a time in the game where we need to execute. You know, we draw it up, you know, and just I have to do a better job explaining when we want to run a play, we need to run a play. At that time, we wanted a Vox flare screen. If his man was low, it would have been a down screen. Both of them would have been available. It was set up for Oswin. He would have set a down screen for Vox, but we passed it to Vox way too early.
Kim, you said you chose the players. In the preseason, I believe you said that they also chose each other. Does this group, has it shown the ability to hold themselves accountable in practice and games?
You know, you can always be better at that. You know, obviously the best teams in the country have it. You know, that leadership from within is something that we've been working on getting. You know, we're down some guys, we're missing guys. Some guys are not there, so it's less voices, less people. It's something that can always get better.
Is it fair to say you've missed Jason's ball handling more during this stretch?
Yeah, I think so. And his big game experience. You know, North Texas, you know, Vanderbilt, he's played in a lot of these games. Having another guy out there that can handle it, can make free throws, can defend, obviously can make shots. But we have enough. We you know, obviously, Jason, he's week to week. You know, would love to get him back, excited to get him back. But we have enough if the group is dialed in and committed.
UConn's coming off of a thriller against Villanova, a good Big East team. And how important is it for you guys to get off to a good start on the road?
Very important. Very important. I think the best team in the country right now. You know, all the things we talk about, the understanding, the connectedness, the discipline, how hard they play, the toughness, they have it all. You know, and you know, we played a good 36 minutes here against them last time. You know, we need to take it on the road. We haven't had it on the road, the level of detail and consistency that's needed. So.
Kim, KJ Lewis, he had 26 points, 10 for 15 from the field. I felt like you guys had a really good defensive effort in the first half, but how do you feel that shifted specifically with him in the second half? Did you see anything? Was he just getting better looks? Or?
Yeah, you know, when he gets to his right, he's really, really good. And again, I was queasy at halftime at some of the looks they got. We went under some ball screens and guys got looks, threes, and they missed them. And sometimes with shooters, if it feels good, that rep is just as good as a make, you know. And we went under a big ball screen in his late. He had a drive and play. Our low man stopping the ball wasn't there. He's a heck of a player. He and Mac are having really good seasons.
Any more questions?